Well, if I was a YouTuber, I'd probably open the video with something like that. I'm not a YouTuber. Today is basically my first trip back to the hangar. It's now 5 weeks today actually since the accident, and we're going to take a look at some of the damage on the aircraft and just see how much is actually broken, so you can join me with that shortly. If you don't know, go back and have a look at some of the previous videos in this series. I crashed my Microlight aircraft in wind shear actually on landing at on Fraser Island 5 weeks ago. As I said, I've still got some injuries, but I'm coming good. So this shoulder's improving, and this shoulder was dislocated, but it's actually doing pretty well, better than this shoulder. But they reckon it's only a matter of weeks and a few exercises and I should be pretty much fully recovered. How amazing is that? When you see the aircraft, I still to this day wonder, how did I even walk away? I mean, I walked away with some assistance, but at the end of the day, I didn't break my legs, my back. I didn't die. I mean, no lacerations. You know, I'm on blood thinners if you want to know too. So if I had had a bleed, I would have been in a lot of trouble, because the runway, we landed on the runway. Well, I arrived on the runway, and the runway was, it's quite remote actually. It's a 15 to 20 minute helicopter flight, as I found out, to the hospital here in Hervey Bay. For me to fly there from here, I'm in Maryborough now at the hangar, as you can see. It's about a 45 minute flight at 70 odd knots or so. So yeah, it's not too close, and it's very remote, being an island. Let's go inside anyway and we'll assess the damage. Before we do, let's just have a look at some of your comments from the previous video, and I'll answer some of the questions. I hope you don't mind me saying your names and displaying the comments, but I thought it was worthwhile to do it on video to answer some of the comments and questions. If you've got more questions, if you want to ask anything, at this stage I'm pretty confident I've really done nothing wrong. It wasn't excessively turbulent. It wasn't something where I was skylarking or being a cowboy. I mean, I'm puzzled really, to be honest. I'm still questioning how I can avoid such an incident in the future. If I ever fly again, hopefully my shoulders, as I said, if they come good, then I should be able to fly again. But will I want to? I don't know. I still don't know to this point in time. The weather today, we're in Queensland, it's hot. It's getting cloudy again. Looks like we might have some more storms this weekend. And that again, you know, the weather is really not often ideal for smooth air flying, you know, especially in a Microlight. Enough waffle, let's have a look at the comments and then we'll go and look at some aircraft damage.
Maryborough traffic, Microlight 6340 turns base, full stop, 17 Maryborough.
Well, I'm just back from another mission. Why don't you come and join me now and watch what we've been up to. Enjoy this adventure. And maybe after you've watched this one, you might want to watch one of the other more than 300 videos on the channel regarding aviation and flying adventures with CrayonBox. Well, hi and welcome to the office. As I've just said, at the hangar, we'll be discussing some of your comments today, going back to the beginning. Some of them I'll just read, and I would like to thank all of you again for the comments that you've made. But before I go into the comments, I just want to say a big thank you to Albatross Flying Systems, who purchased the P&M Aviation brand a few years ago. I'd ordered my aircraft while the manufacturer was in the UK, and shortly after receiving my aircraft, about 6 months later, they went into the process of selling the business, and there was a lot of doubt as to whether or not the support would be there in the future. Well, let me just tell you that at the moment I'm getting a lot of support from the current new P&M brand manufacturer, and that they are going to assist me in being able to get parts, supporting me in how I'm, any advice and anything I need like that to be able to rebuild the aircraft. So this will be an exciting time, and I really want to deeply thank them for what's coming in the future, and I hope you can appreciate what they're doing as well. This company is not over, it's obviously flourishing, and we hope with my support in promoting them here, big opportunity is to hopefully bring them on board and make you reassured that the P&M Aviation brand will continue. It's in all of our best interests. It's a fantastic aircraft when you don't crash them, of course, but it's not any fault of the aircraft. It was weather conditions, and we'll go into that later in new series coming up, new episodes. We'll be discussing in the next episode actually the crash analysis, what happened, flight track, all the telemetry data, and some of that stuff as well, and hopefully you guys will be able to comment on today's video as well as in that video as well, and we'll keep discussing as we get nearer and closer to the actual time we start and commence the rebuilding. As you just saw back at the hangar, we've started to basically gather up and assess the aircraft, so the process of rebuilding has kind of started. Let's get into this, let's talk about it. Alright, so I'd like to firstly discuss a comment from Osmooney Pilot. Nowhere in that footage, this is 2 weeks ago now, so nowhere in that footage would I have gone around, and that was the question I asked. Was there any point that I should have gone around? Windsock was showing a moderate wind, moving around a bit, but predominantly down the runway. Exactly. Couldn't see much potential for wind shear either. If I felt the aircraft was getting out of a stable approach, then yes, but I couldn't see it, to be fair. And I was the same. On approach, I had a stabilised approach. I did not feel at any time that I needed to go around. I did not feel there was any danger. I've landed in worse conditions. And I just want to say, and this will be probably reiterated in future comments here, that I've been in worse conditions and there was nothing to indicate there was anything wrong until I was over the threshold of the runway of about probably, I'm guessing, 10 to 15 feet. I haven't really looked at my telemetry, but I'm sure it will show the actual altitude when things started to go bad, and it was too late to really respond and do anything. Adding power, the discussion has been that adding power might have actually driven me harder into the ground, and the result would have been a lot worse. So, but there was just no time to really even think about that, and I've got my own ideas about what I could have done better, but I'm still not 100% sure I would have known to even do it then. Thank you for Osmooney Pilot. The next one is Paulie B796. Stuart, glad you are recovering quickly. You seem much more positive about things than your last video. Watching your approach, it seems very stable, and I can't see anything that would make me even consider to go around. Again, my feelings exactly, thank you very much. And as I said, there's telemetry that will show you even more evidence that going around didn't seem like the option. Landing a Microlight, typically in any kind of turbulence, after mid-morning, probably like any aircraft, you're always correcting and adjusting and finalising that approach to land and touch down as smooth as you can on that runway. There's always corrections. When do you call it quits, you know? Next one, okay, Mark 765. No, not 3-axis, flex wing, more fun. And I agree, I don't see myself flying 3-axis. I think I'll probably stick to flying microlights. I'm not sure I want to fly anymore, but I will be getting up in a 3-axis aircraft with a friend from the Aero Club, or a couple of them actually, and just starting to re-experience flight and getting my confidence in flying back. I mean, I'm only a little way into this, and there's a little bit further to go yet before I start to feel that flying is even an option. Don't let me put you off though. And then Mark goes on to say, good luck with the repair. and your healing. Thank you, Mark, so much. FPV flyby 68. Stuart, based on where you ended the video and the windsock movement, I can't say I would have done anything different at that point. Again, this is why I put that video on here to show. This is the last video I put up a couple of weeks ago. I put that video up to see if anyone could see anything wrong, because I wanted to show that I couldn't, and it seems that you guys can't either. And I will probably be able to even prove that more in the crash analysis video coming next time. So thank you, FPV. Yeah. Okay, Adrian Rose. Hi Stuart, good to see you walking around on the road to recovery. As to your question when to abort, it is a question that even the best could not pick, but a low flyover first will tell you, will let you know how bad the rotors coming up and over the northern bank are and how stable the air is rolling towards you. I almost got caught out here too. The air can be a mess at times. Never give up flying. It might be easy for a few months, or you might make it a year or two, but the bug will bite you hard in the end and you will sell your soul to get back up. Keep the videos coming. Cheers, Adrian. Now, yeah, so a flyover, my friend had landed earlier, and I'm sure, like a minute earlier, I'm sure if he had have noticed anything unusual or tricky about the landing, he would have got on the radio and said, go round, or don't land. But nothing came. There was no warnings. I have heard since as well that that runway has got some issues with rotors and things. I've only just found this out kind of after. I've landed there quite a few times before, probably not too many, but 10 at least. And I've never thought it was dangerous from those landings, but this time something went wrong, something was different. Thanks, Adrian, for your comments. Gravosky. Good to hear you're getting better and don't need a trip to theatre. So far, so good. I'm still seeing the physio, I'm still seeing the hospital. Looks like we're okay though now. I think 5 weeks in we're out of the woods. If you went to a 3-axis ultralight, then maybe something like a drifter. It's 3-axis with an open cockpit. So at the moment I might go 3-axis if I want to fly and I'm not physically able to handle turbulence with my shoulders. Looks like we might be on the road to full recovery, and where I fly, if you've seen the videos, this area is spectacular and I really enjoy open cockpit sport flying in a microlight. I mean, there is nothing like it, especially in the area that we're in, over the water, within sight of land, of course. I mean, within landing distance of land most of the time. Just a beautiful platform to enjoy seeing the scenery. It's awesome. So thank you, Gravosky, for that. True Blue Expat. I flew for Fraser Island for 5 years with many landings and takeoffs from Orchid Beach, and now Trike on Airbus. Nothing alarming in your vid. My only advice is, as soon as your tummy tells you this doesn't feel right, then abort, be it at any height. Anyway, glad to see you are more positive in this video. Give 3-axis a shot, as then you have had the best of both worlds. Exactly. I can't say 3-axis isn't suitable to me until I give it a go. So I have to try it and see. And what else did I want to say? Oh, just adding to something someone said earlier. The video cut out when it cut out because it was on external power. And that was actually where the video ended, because any other further video during the crash would have, if the camera was still connected to the aircraft, or while it was, anything that was recorded after that point of the end of the video was lost because it would have only been in the buffer. I didn't have a battery in the camera, and if you watch some of my other videos you'll know why. And as soon as the power disconnected from the camera, of course the camera stopped, went dead, and anything in the memory that wasn't written to the memory card was lost, and that's why the video ended so soon. So that's all I've got, but the point of that video was really just to show that all the way down to that point there was no reason to go around, and it continued right until I was about 10 to 15 feet off the deck over the threshold of the runway. There was no indication. There was something else I need to say there, but we'll probably remember soon. Thank you True Blue Expat for that. Jindrik Rizika, sorry if I get your name wrong. I believe that from that footage no one would go round. Thank you, I agree. Mezzanino. I mean, you think YouTubers, I'm not a YouTuber, I've said that already, but you'd think we'd read and understand how to say the names properly first, but I don't think how much I read this would really help me. Okay, so Mezzanino. Got it. Mezzanino. You know that fly on the beach or on the sea is the best. No turbulence, and you can fly with strong winds, but with the bow to wind. Landing with strong wind, second my experience, is safe if you use only the power for control, the glide path, and the control bar to the chest. Yeah, that might be different to what I've learned and been told. So we normally fly with a little bit more speed, especially in gusts, you know, for landing, to ensure that if the wind stops, we've still got authority and control of the aircraft. You'll see from the telemetry in the next video and the analysis of the approach and crash, basically, that we had sufficient airspeed, ground speed, everything. Glide slope was good. I think everything was right on the money. I think it was a wind condition that was not really understood at the time while I was flying the aircraft. That tripped me up, and that was what went wrong. Thank you, Mazzanino. Madam Aim. No reason to abort there. I don't think the accident would have happened with 3-axis and the much greater positive control they offer, especially when you're low and slow in gusty conditions. Well, okay. I don't know, I'm not a 3-axis pilot. I haven't had that training, I haven't had any instruction. Thank you, Madam Aim. Fernando Gregorio. Only trouble I'd see would be if the wind turns radically left or lulls. Unlikely. Well, with the cliff face, which is about 50 feet on the beach side, that cliff face could mean that there might have been some wind come up over it and cause rotor. We don't know, but it's a possibility at this stage. So there could have been a radical... I think, I've got no recording and no evidence of this, but I seem to recall at the last seconds seeing the windsock. Believe it or not, there's a windsock right next to where I crashed. I mean, that's the one you see in the last video. And I'm pretty sure that just before the crash I saw it do some sort of weird flip, a rotor, something coming through causing it. But I mean, it was too late to respond, and I was on the final seconds of landing, and I didn't respond, I didn't see it, I didn't have time to consciously recognise that. Probably a lack of training, probably a little bit. It was advanced, that was an advanced landing as it turns out, you know, really. Okay, I'm not saying that we're all above the physics of aviation and flight, but and I certainly don't think I am, but I thought I had enough experience to do what I was trying to do there. I cannot say this name, can I? Epigarios 2004. Epigarios? Is it? Epigarios 2004. Nice to see you again. Thank you very much. Carry 5 projects. It's good to see you out and about. Thank you very much as well. Can 5 projects. My eyes. Real flight. It's the way it's spelt. It's not traditional. Okay, big one. Probably a big read. Hi Stuart, nice to see you recovering from your accident. It sometimes takes a long time to figure out what really went wrong and when was the best time to bail out and go around. I used to hang glide in my younger years, gave it up 10 years ago because I'm 71 now. Looking at the ridge on the right side of the runway makes me think if there was a crossing wind from the right, then there is an excellent chance of a severe rotor being formed on the runway. Correct, exactly. But the wind, according to the windsock, if you have a look, was pretty much straight down the runway. There could have been something coming off the right hand side, off that cliff, but I wouldn't be 100% certain. And it's just, I just don't know. I know there's some gaps in my memory now. Discussion yesterday with the crash was witnessed by my friend, the whole thing, and I said, I need to really ask you, what did you see, what really happened? And he gave me some information I have got no clue about. We might discuss that in a later date. I mean, I was there and I don't remember what he's telling me. It's scary. Makes me wonder if I had a total brain fade or something. If the wind is coming from the left side, as the second windsock indicates, then there would definitely be some severe rotors forming over the runway. So that's over the trees. Without having this knowledge of ridge soaring and turbs on the ridge, you didn't have a chance. By the time you experienced turbulence, it was too late. Knowledge is based on experience and education, sometimes learned the hard way. I think I'm learning the hard way. Get well, get healthy, don't overanalyze your accident to death, and get flying again. Thank you, Gordon. That was Gordon's comment. Thank you very much. Neil Scoville, I believe you're in New Zealand. I've been following your flying videos for a little while. In fact, you had your aircraft before I did in our colours match. I like the colour. Hi Stuart, glad to see you are making a recovery. I have to say that I couldn't see any reason that would encourage me to go around. And look, I think guys, this is a common theme. I feel the same, and I feel that anyone landing when I was might have been bitten by this, because a lot of us either A, don't have the experience to recognise the problem, or get out of it, avoid it. It makes me really concerned. How do I avoid it next time? Where do I get training to learn to avoid that kind of thing? Do I only fly in calm conditions? We don't have calm conditions here. It's a real tricky situation for me. Mark Kyle, I've known you for a while. Met you a couple of times. Good to see you healing okay. All looks like a good approach to me. Plenty of height, so would think your speed would be okay. Maybe 15 knot headwind slightly off to the west. That's slightly from the left side of the runway, and swinging a bit. All looks pretty normal. Only thing I can think of is when you were close to the ground there was some sort of turbulence or sink. That's exactly what I think. I mean, that's all I can think, because I had no reason to be concerned before that. I haven't landed there, but others tell me the dunes can produce a rotor effect from that direction. Now the dunes are pretty much straight down ahead of the runway, probably more, 500 metres away, 1,500 feet up the runway, at the end of the runway. So quite a fair way off. There were no white caps, if you noticed, in the water. So, I mean, wind effect on the water, nil, pretty much. If you want the freedom in the cockpit, maybe think about a drifter or something similar for 3-axis. Good ones pop up if you keep an eye out, and some have 4-stroke Rotaxes on them, mainly 2-stroke though, and I don't like 2-strokes, and me neither, Mark, so I won't be going that direction. The guys that fly drifters love them, and they all say it's a great sense of freedom. Exactly, open cockpit, that's a good way to go if you want to stay open cockpit. Thanks Mark. Oscar Luna. Stuart, thanks for sharing to us your recovering process. Nobody is exempt of an accident, and sharing your experience is good for everyone of us in this air fans community. Thank God you are okay, and I wish you will be totally recovered soon. Oscar, I believe I am going to make a full recovery, hopefully enough that I can use my shoulders and turbulence to fly Microlight. Yeah, I might go back there again. I won't learn a lesson sometimes, but yeah. We have to deal with turbulence as pilots. That does happen in any aircraft. unexpectedly. You can't plan the weather. Lance McNaughton, hello. G'day Stuart, it's good you've had a chance to wind down a bit before the need to assess the damage and make decisions. Can I ask if at the time of your medical x-rays and such, did you get a wrist x-ray done? Yes, I did. Yes, that was done. So I've got problems with my thumb here. My hand was x-rayed. The thumb was x-rayed at multiple rotations, so that's been looked at. It's been ultrasounded. There looks like there is a problem in here. Only asking because after my accident, amongst the other bumps and bruises, I thought I had just sprained my wrist and didn't worry about it. Walk it off, I told myself. But 2 weeks rolled by, 2 weeks rolled by with strapping, etc. It just didn't mend. So my wife insisted I bit the bullet and get it checked. Well, surprise, surprise, I'd broken it, didn't I? So it required surgery to screw the bones back together, scaphoid, I believe. Yeah, scaphoid's in here, I believe. Obviously caused by hyperextending of the thumb on control bar during dust up. Then cast for 6 weeks, followed by physio, ball squeezing, etc. alike. Now I started my aviation life, Stu, in 3-axis. Seaplanes, Cessna, Super Pups for towing, then wow. Hang gliding came along, loved it, bought a Microlight or 2, but still enjoy my trikes more. So he likes trikes more. All the best during your journey, buddy. You will need patience, but also you need to get back on the horse as soon as possible. So in the meantime, get some sky and someone's trike, keep those skills from rusting up. Yeah, I'm going flying in someone's fixed wing first, just to get the feeling of landing again. They'll be in control, not me. Hopefully I'm not screaming like a, and another thing, one question I forgot to ask, how the hell did you get it home back in the hangar from Fraser Island? That recovery alone would have made a good video. Well, yes, it would have. There is some of that. The arrival at the hangar, you'll see how it got back to the hangar. It got back pretty quickly. It got back more or less without my control. It kind of got back with my authority. I was in a lucid state, more or less. I was making decisions that I really didn't want to have to make, but they had to be made quickly. It cost quite a bit of money to do so, but the aircraft's still worth a lot of money, and I just thought, for the sake of convenience, and it's happening now, we get it done, and it happened. So yeah, fortunately the right people were in the right place at the right time to get things sorted out. But it was one of the worst places to get the aircraft back from. Yeah, I'll show you a map now if you like. It's quite remote in terms of it's not so far away from the hangar. It's just that it's on an island and it's a long way up a sandy beach, or you come through the bush. The truck that brought it back couldn't come through the bush because it was too high. With the Microlight on the back, because no one knew how to take the wing off, it was transported with the wing on. You'll see all that. I was kind of saddened that I couldn't have been there, and I just couldn't have been there. Even now, I'd just be now 5 weeks later able to do something with it myself. But trying to get it back on the truck, no one took the wing off. Nothing was really dismantled, and that would have helped a lot with the capability of transportation. But the main thing is it got back, and it got back in fairly good condition, fortunately. And I want to thank the tow truck operator, who I had a little bit of an argument with initially, but that was just a lot of emotion still, obviously. But job done, and I appreciate it. I can certainly appreciate it now. And I want to do a thank you video to everyone in the future, in the near future, that's been helping me through this process. You guys included. These comments, valuable to help me assess and be enthusiastic, motivated to get things going again and keep the videos coming for you guys. I think a rebuild video is going to be incredible, and I'll probably enjoy the what's it called? You know, like the medication, you know, just the process of building is going to be good time for me to just get back into this again. Dean Snow. Oh, Lance, thanks for your comment. And now Dean Snow says, thanks for sharing this event so we may learn. I hope we all learn something, because I'm still trying to learn. Looking at the sea in the distance, there is obviously dark patches that indicate down air. Well, it was early in the morning and there wasn't really that too... I don't know about that. I don't know. I haven't done sort of soaring stuff, but I don't see... yeah. The dark patches could have been caused by cumulus clouds. Cumulus clouds, it was early in the morning, it wasn't super hot. It wasn't really too turbulent. There was a bit of wind, probably a mixture of turbulence. It's Queensland, it's Australia, we get that. So then you flew into rotor. Even weak rotors can end your approach very quickly. And I believe that's exactly what happens. Obviously you've got the ability, Dean, to see the symptoms or the signs better than I did. Windsocks in the lee of a hill are useless. They can lie. The wind that day is obviously offshore. I flew hang gliders for years, then trikes, and recently a Jabiru. Fly a 3-axis on the same approach that day and the result would have probably been the same. The same in a 3-axis. There's no way out of this. If you don't know the signs, I haven't flown gliders, hang gliders. I'm not up on the soaring, thermally, weathery kind of symptoms. I just know turbulence. But what the turbulence is trying to tell me, I'm probably not able to fully analyse to know whether it's a safe thing or not to land. Thanks, Dean, for your comment. Appreciate it. Without the rest, it would be hard. This is from Flying Cub. He's in the UK. He's got a YouTube channel that I know of as well. Without the rest, it would be hard to tell what happened. It all looked good, but would need to have airspeed. And you'll see that in the next video, and there is no more of that video. But the next video I'll be explaining the approach analysis with telemetry. I am also dislike commenting on an accident, as unless you are in the aircraft, it tends to be a lot of 20/20 vision after the fact and often inaccurate. Yeah, fair enough, that's good. But you can see from the approach that, you know, I was happy with it, and otherwise I wouldn't have continued. I've gone around before. As for the flexwing or 2-axis question, that would be up to you and your medical condition, which will not be fully known by the sound of it for some time. In the meantime, it would be good to plan around fixing your aircraft with a view to flying it again. Exactly, and that's where I'm going. Most other routes will need a fair amount of extra time and cash, like flying 3-axis. I'd need to get training, and maybe step too far. Well, I don't know, I'm capable. Richard Warren Smith. I see no problems on that approach. However, I assume the GoPro was stabilised footage, so it might be difficult to determine what the air felt like at the time. Yeah, it was stabilised, and there was turbulence, but I'd just like to say again that it wasn't turbulence that I was uncomfortable in. I've landed in worse conditions, so I didn't feel there was any major danger. I thought I could handle it. I know that after we get so many hours of flying, there's different intervals during our flying time that we get complacent and we get a wake-up call, and there probably could have been some complacency here and I wasn't recognising the signs. So that's obvious. Well, it probably goes without saying really. I probably did exactly that. So yeah, it was stabilised and it probably did look smoother in the video than it should have been, but the windsock wasn't really telling me too much that I was concerned about either, because I've seen worse. I've watched a lot of your videos and there is nothing in your flying style or attitude that I find concerning. I think you are a fine pilot. I have 150 hours on my trike and come from a hang gliding background. I'm very pro flexwing, but have a look at the Bushcat. A Donor 912 ULS from Sparkles would make for an awesome aircraft. Get well and safe flying. I've thought about Bushcat. If I do go 3-axis, I'll be looking at that even more. So yeah, thanks Richard, that's a possibility. But I still like the Microlight team. Darren Craig. Impossible to tell what happened on camera, cut out too early. Wind obviously cross offshore and would create rotor over that ridge. I'm going to assume you got dumped close to the ground and came in very hard. I don't have enough flexwing experience to offer advice. Look, I didn't see rotors. My friend, I didn't see the potential for rotors there. I mean, well, obviously there is. The windsock was dancing a bit, but I didn't even think about rotors. And my friend had landed there just before me in a drifter, and he didn't report any issues, as I said before, so I continued the approach. Not trying to blame my friend, but I'm sure I know that if it was a major concern, he would have told me. Alan McMillan. More information needed as seen in this video. I would not abort, but then on such as lovely flying day, why not stay here longer? Because we were trying to get a coffee and a pie at Orchard Beach, and we'd already been flying for an hour-ish. So we were going to land, have a coffee, and then go for another fly, and we were probably even going to go to the north of Fraser Island and then go home. So we would have continued flying, but the idea was to have a coffee and a pie as you do at Orchard Beach. Thanks, Alan. Cameron Lapworth. Thanks for taking us through this process. This is great for all pilots to consider. You seem to be doing better. Sure, it's a long road still, but you are obviously resilient. Yeah, thanks, Cameron. Look, now that I'm at a point now where I'm feeling a bit stronger and able physically to start work on the Microlight. Yesterday we were at the hangar. Well, this is the video about that. We're getting ready. We're starting to bring her home. I'm going to bring her here, and we're going to start pulling it to pieces and analysing and assessing what parts I need so we can get some orders underway and start rebuilding it. So stay watching for these videos. Alright, thanks, Cameron. Again, Cameron, I flew gyro for years and almost smashed it up in a similar situation. I lived at Baffle Creek. I believe is that to the north of Bundaberg? At the time near where you were holidaying. Yes, that's right, near Agnes Water. I used to fly off the beach occasionally, about 30 minutes drive towards Bundaberg. This one time I flew out in fine conditions on landing the wind was blowing out to sea, and the trees near the beach hit me with rotors that kicked my rudder sideways left and right. The teeter hinge on gyros compensates for different lift in pitch and bank, as well as some sink. I hit full power and was able to climb out, but it shook me because I was now looking at miles of beach all pointing the same way, wrong way relative to the wind. I went around and did a shallow approach, and wind had died down a little and I landed with no difficulty. However, on driving out, I drove through all this farmland and realised I'd been a complete idiot. I could have landed on farmland with no trees into wind and walked a kilometre. I got myself fixed on what I had intended and wasn't thinking clearly. I had more than an hour of fuel. I should have climbed up and relaxed and calmly considered my options. Without knowing more of the specifics, I'd just say I was lucky that day. I didn't lose too much height in the rotors, and that while the second landing was more cautious and uneventful, was still suboptimal. You're not alone and only a fool if you don't learn anything from your mistakes. Yeah, thanks, Cameron, again. That's really, these stories, I hope they help all of us, and I really appreciate you guys just telling us, you know, the experiences you've had and the warnings that you can give us as pilots to also, you know, be safer and learn. Patrick McCowan. Last week you were walking and talking. Now you're dancing and singing. Yeah, I am. I'm improving. Soon you will be back flying and quietly sitting in awe. The only thing I can come up with on my very limited 22 hours flying instruction is that it kind of looks like you're coming in slow. You have a good headwind straight in, giving you a high indicated wind speed. But if that headwind shifted or dropped off suddenly, then your airspeed would not have been enough and you dropped. I think that's what's happened. We've had just almost a wind shear situation or rotor causing wind shear. But I did have airspeed, and we'll look at the telemetry next time. The airspeed was more than sufficient for the whole approach. Me, I think I like to come in fast on a high angle with engine idle. Okay, well I came in with some power at a fairly high speed, so I didn't have enough speed though to maintain flight in that situation, or I've done something wrong, I've had a brain overload, so we don't really know. As to the 3-axis or delta, if it lets you fly because of physical impairment, then do it. There are good open cockpit aircraft out there. I love the Kolb Ultrastar or the 2-seater Mark III. Eurofly Mini Fox is another single, or the 2-seater Twin Fox. I might go 3A in the future, but it will need the folding wings. I need to trailer it as I can't afford a hangar. That's fair enough too. That's a good option. That's good for transporting when you're going on holidays as well. Take it away with you, possibly. Wishing all the best to you and yours. Thank you, Patrick. Should you go to 3-axis? After this, stay tuned. We're going to have a look at the damage on the aircraft. Don't forget. Matthew Hoops. Should you go to 3-axis? People will have opinions on both, obviously, but only those that have legitimate time in both types, weight shift and 3-axis, should be giving you advice. Otherwise, I would ignore. Look, I think at the end of the day, it really is up to me. It's probably not a question I should have put out there for you guys, but I just wanted to get your feelings on how you feel about the different types of aircraft. For me, it now comes down to, what do I want to fly? Will I enjoy 3-axis? If I don't, I won't fly. If I can't fly microlights and I don't enjoy 3-axis, I just can't fly. Maybe I can fly with other people. I mean, there's still options, I guess, if I want to fly at all. If I want to be in the air, I don't know. Otherwise, I would ignore. I just finished reading Brian Milton's Around the World in 80 Days and weight shift aircraft can be safe and apparently way more capable than I previously thought. You're still emotional, which makes it difficult to see things in a purely logical way. You're an adult. You know that. I'm just putting it into words. Yeah, thanks. Appreciate it, Matthew. That's exactly right. I'm still emotional a little bit, I guess. And until I get some more experience flying, getting my confidence back, I don't know what I'm going to do. So yes, this has got to be assessed as we go. Also, no one on YouTube can give you an accurate answer of to rebuild or not without seeing the extent of the damage. We'll be showing you that shortly, and I think we can do it. One thing that is not being said but affects just about everyone in the non 1%, but money is generally always a factor. You're going to have to decide what you can spend without going past your monetary comfort zone, and your wife, what are her thoughts? Sparkles is a good aircraft, but when it comes down to it, it's a machine that can be replaced. It's probably cheaper and more fun actually to try and resurrect her and rebuild. I think it's going to be worthwhile rebuilding, but we're still to find that out for sure. If you went to 3-axis now, you will have to start from scratch in the learning, and I'd also have to buy another aircraft completely from scratch. I could argue that's going to be expensive. I could argue that you are safer in a weight shift due to all the hours you have flying those. Exactly too. And there's some things in microlights and weight shift that are different in 3-axis in terms of control, and rudder is the big one. We don't have a rudder, and when we steer on the ground, when we push the left pedal, we turn right. And that's completely opposite to 3-axis. And that's where I think I'm going to be in trouble. Andy Fell. What a bummer. No, I didn't mean it the way it sounded, but this is from Andy Fell, and he says, what a bummer. I say rebuild and fly. I crashed in 2007, but fortunately, like you, I didn't hurt myself badly. However, I was flying quite a long way from home in a different country, which complicated the logistics of getting myself in the aircraft home. I reckon I was overseas too, but fortunately mine was still an island that was part of Australia. So, but overseas in another country, oh, never really think about that. You never really think about the consequences of crashing in on another island somewhere. It's far from roads. There were no roads. It's all beach. 4-wheel drive tow trucks, how it got home. You'll see. Assuming you can get parts, and it looks like we can, Quicks rebuild fairly easily, and there will be loads of support available on the P&M owners Facebook page. You guys out there, speak to me, P&M owners. Any assistance, much appreciated. Do it. You'll also learn a lot about your aircraft. 100% agree. And the more I look at it, the easier I think it's going to be to fix. When I walked away from the aircraft after the crash, as I limped away with a friend to hold me up, when I looked back, I saw a write-off wreck of an aircraft. Yesterday I saw the potential for it to fly again. Okay? Don't torture yourself over it, just learn and get back on the horse feeling much wiser than before. I've had instructors telling me that. Now that I've had this bad experience, I will be a much better pilot. And I can impart this knowledge now to you guys. And we should all share this stuff so that we can all learn. I'm just grateful I walked away. Not many people can say they walked away from a plane crash. Thanks, Andy Fell. Thank you so much. Emil Thice. Sorry if your name's wrong. Thice. Stay strong. I had an accident while I was still on training. Took me very long to build confidence again. Take your time to heal and then decide. Exactly, that is the plan. In the process of rebuilding the aircraft, I will be flying with some of the other guys from the Aero Club in their aircraft, and maybe even doing some three-axis flying. Thanks, Emil. Lance again. Hello. I don't know about anyone else watching your final approach to you, but the video footage stopped well before, and that's because the power cut out, and I can't help that. That was the end of the video. So I couldn't really make an opinion on whether you needed to make a go-around decision. Well, Lance, basically the go-around was everything that you could see so far in that video. It continued all the way to the threshold. So whatever was happening up to that point at the end of the video was the same all the way to the threshold. It was then that things went real bad, really fast. Within 5 seconds I'd crashed. 5 seconds, and I already made 3 corrections at that point to stabilise the aircraft. Didn't work. I mean, I corrected twice successfully, third one, negative. So I think I ran out of airspeed or talent or something, in the words of Casey Stoner once on the motorcycle track. Maybe what? So I couldn't really tell whether or not you need to go around decision. Okay, windsock was dancing a bit, but where the video stopped, you still had ways to go before a boarding touchdown. Correct. And it didn't change. Maybe you have a bit more to show on that. All the best. No, I don't. But we do. I have the full recording from the phone. I was recording the audio. So that will come up soon. We'll show that. And the telemetry is all recorded and safe and shows the pitch up. And that's where it stops. It doesn't show the down again because that's when the power got ripped out. But it shows the approach and the pitch up. It shows the track, it shows the airspeed, it shows the ground speed, it shows the engine RPM, everything. So that to me is the black box analysis, really. And we'll be able to pick that to bits, I'm sure. And I'd appreciate your comments again on that. I don't care how hard you want to go on me. Or good, just tell me I did everything right if you want. But, you know, the evidence is there for me. But I heard something I'll tell you about later, another day. I heard something yesterday from the eyewitness that saw the crash that scares the living daylights out of me right now. Yeah, so I had... Yeah, the witness told me what happened. And I said, I don't remember that happening. That didn't happen. Surely that didn't happen. I don't know. And if it did, wow. Freaky. Because I don't know. I was there and I don't know. Last comment. Grovosky. Welcome back again. Hi Stewie, how are you? Time for another video. Tell us how you are, about your holiday, and about sparkles. Bet we all love to hear. Thank you, and that is the last comment from 2 days ago before making this recording, and that is what this video is about. I'm here, I'm healing, I'm improving, and now let's go and look at the crash damage. Next time we'll be looking at the crash telemetry and the end result of how it was when it finished, how I was in the aircraft when I woke up. Pretty sure I was unconscious for a brief moment, because there's a lot of gaps. I woke up smelling fuel, and I woke up and I turned the tap off and I turned off the master key. The instrument panel was in front of me, upright. The aircraft was underneath me on its side. I was on my side. So the front nose was broken off, obviously. But I turned everything off. I smelt fuel when I came to, and I went, okay. And I couldn't get out. So you can imagine what's going through my mind. Anyway, crash damage. Thanks for watching. And I'll put your names up. Anyone that's commented here, anyone that comments in the future, I'll just put a list of you guys. You guys are supporting me, and I appreciate it. Sorry for the length of the video, but I really want to make these comments. And yeah, we're only nearly 20 minutes in, so it's not too bad. Enjoy the end of the video, and we'll yeah, see you shortly at the hangar. Let's go back to the hangar. So if it wasn't for the wing, you might think, well, there's not too much damage. The only problem is, where my legs were is completely missing, and I'll show you all of that now. First of all, I'm pleased to say the engine covers are more or less, well, they're reusable. This one's got a bit of a chip in the paintwork, but that's repairable. That's going to save me quite a bit of money there. And I don't care if the aircraft's not 100% perfect. We can make it perfect later, can't we? This is the most stressful part for me, seeing that. That is broken off the aircraft. Those parts here, that's my footrests. That's my brake pedal, and that's my throttle pedal. That's where my feet go. That part of the aircraft, and the whole cockpit, as you're about to see, was torn off the front. My legs were there, and all I had was a couple of scrapes. Amazing. This whole mechanism though, looks like it's actually mostly intact, reusable. I can probably re-powder coat the forks and we're good to go. We'll see how that works out later. Over here, well, there's a box of bits. That's where the instruments used to be. This is the other half of the instrument panel. You might remember it from previous videos. It's where the phone would be. It's where the, what goes there normally? Altimeter, airspeed? Or is it the other way around? Airspeed, altimeter. EFIS is there. Bit of a rewiring situation going on there. And a box of bits. A box of pieces, all of the front of the aircraft. Lots of bits of fiberglass. Alright, now for the, let's not show you that bit yet. So the rear part of the aircraft, the engine seems okay. We're going to take some spark plugs out and rotate the engine over and make sure it gets some, just to give it some oil, but also just to see if it turns over okay, you know, by hand. These mast pylon covers, they are mostly perfect. There's just one little scratch up the top, but that'll buff out, as they say. The passenger cockpit and pilot seating area is pretty much okay. I mean, when you see the way the aircraft landed and ended up, that's pretty good going. Okay, now for the damage. As you can see here, this spat, this is the right wheel spat. That's looking, seen better days. That's a write-off. That's where it would have been. How much has that impacted the aircraft at this stage? We don't know. Am I seeing something here I don't like? No, it's just dirt. So we've got to check all these bolts. We've got to check and probably replace the bolts. We're going to check all the mounting points, check for stress. We can check the powder coating on the engine frame and assemblies and make sure there's no stresses there, because we don't want to bend in the actual engine mounting assembly, because otherwise the engine won't be straight. Now that's hit. You can see a mark there. So that's hit there. Other than that, I'll have a close look and we'll assess it as we go. The radiators aren't leaking, the oil cooler and the coolant cooler. Everything else looks good. There's not much light here, sorry. And the other spat's better than the right one, but obviously it's written off as well. Shouldn't have done that. Never mind. It'll buff out. And the fuel tank's not leaking. And everything in here, all the wiring. See, nothing back here has been touched, as far as we can see. I'm pretty confident that the engine's going to be perfect. Alright, the front of the aircraft. Okay, here's the nitty gritty. So that's where the instruments would be. That's where my feet would be. That's the nose of the aircraft. Gone. How did that happen like that? I mean, yeah. In the next video, by the way, I will be showing you the flight telemetry. Yes, I got data, the actual data. Engine RPM, airspeed, ground speed, the flight track as we went in. So we'll be able to analyze the wind shear, what it did to the aircraft, a rotor. You guys can even tell me, maybe you've got some ideas there too. But that'll be something to really give you a better idea, really, of how this has happened. I mean, oh, one thing I forgot to mention, we're going to need a new wing, the whole wing. I mean, it's not too hard to replace, fortunately, but it's just a big expensive item. At least the engine's okay. Yeah, so if we can analyse the flight data, and I'll also go through your comments from this video next time as well. One other thing. Okay, the propeller's broken. Now, some people would say, well, if the propeller's broken, the engine's probably damaged. Well, we think the engine, the propeller, as the wing broke, impacted and everything, got caught on the wing cable. Right there. So somehow that's contacted the propeller, and the propeller's just gone shrimp, snap. And it's been a gradual halt, and it's come to a stall. So the actual propeller, the engine stalled. It wasn't going, I mean, I don't remember much. I just remember regaining my orientation, I guess, while I'm lying on my side on top of the wing, more or less in the seating position, but on my side. And the engine wasn't going, but I remember smelling fuel, turning off the fuel, and turning off the master switch. So the fuel tap's here, so I was able to reach around and turn that off. So I was able to reach that, and I was able to reach where the instrument key would have been as well. That's enough of the damage. You can see what's kind of gone on there. The wing's really suffered quite a lot. There's a break here in the leading edge tube. There's a break here in the leading edge tube. There looks like there's a break here in the leading edge tube. There's definitely a break here in the leading edge tube. Obviously the struts taken a big bam, and everything's twisted to the max. To be honest, I'm quite impressed how much of the aircraft is still intact, and yeah man, it's hot. I'll leave it there. I'll catch up with you in the next video. Thanks for your support. I'm now going to put a list on the screen of all of those that have commented and are supporting me just with their comments and best wishes, well wishes. I really appreciate it, guys. Please come along for this journey as we look to organise the parts. I've been in touch with the manufacturer. It looks like this is doable, and we will go down that track now of finding out what we need. I want to get this home. I want to start pulling the pieces. We'll work out what we need. We'll make the orders. We'll get the wing on its way as well. And in a few months' time, hopefully we'll have the parts we need to start putting it back together. So join me for the journey, and we'll have some fun, and I'll enjoy your comments and any assistance you can give me, maybe with just being able to tell me how to go about doing different things properly. Okay, and thanks very much for joining me again. I appreciate everything you guys are doing to support this and my current healing process, mentally, physically, and everything else like that. And bye for now. Thanks for watching.